let's dive in. When you think about Chile, maybe what comes to mind? Amazing coastlines, the Andes, maybe some really good wine.
Yeah, probably those things.
But this stack of sources we've got here, it paints a really different picture, much more intense, actually.
Definitely.
Chile isn't just, a beautiful spot on the map. It's this incredible nexus point, like an epicenter where these giant telescopes meet some really complex geopolitics and even frontier tech ethics.
That sums it up perfectly. Our mission for this deep dive is really to pull focus from all these incredibly diverse reports.
Right.
Reports that show a country dealing with huge scientific leaps, unique social and political challenges, and all of it under some serious international spotlight.
And the sources are all over the place, aren't they?
Right.
We've got stuff on giant astronomy projects, the Very Large Telescope, the Rupin Observatory, but then also, like, historical CIA moves, current geopolitical warnings.
And some really unique laws about human rights and technology, things you don't see anywhere else.
Exactly. So Chile's kind of under this huge magnifying glass, literally and figuratively.
Let's start with the literal part then. The stars. Chile's Atacama Desert. It's basically ground zero for modern astrophysics.
Okay, so the big new player there is the Very C. Rubin Observatory. The scale of this thing just, wow, it jumped out at me straight away. We're talking the world's largest digital camera, 3.2 gigapixels.
That's the one. And its main job, its primary objective, is the Legacy Survey of Space and Time, LSST.
Oh, is that right?
It's this huge 10-year campaign. The idea is to catalog billions of objects, but the really crucial science goal is mapping dark matter, how it's distributed.
Dark matter. The universe's invisible scaffolding, basically.
Right.
So how does a camera map something you can't actually see?
Good question. They use this technique called weak gravitational lensing.
Okay.
So dark matter, even though it's invisible, it has mass, and mass, as Einstein told us, warps space-time, just slightly.
Like looking through slightly wavy glass.
Exactly like that. The background galaxies, their light gets subtly distorted as it passes through these warped regions. The Rubin's camera is so sensitive it can measure these tiny, tiny shape changes.
And from that, they map the invisible dark matter.
That's the idea. Map the hidden structure of the cosmos.
Okay, but here's where the numbers get kind of crazy. This one telescope, it collects 20 terabytes of data every single night.
Oh, yeah, 20 terabytes.
Over 10 years, that's 500 petabytes. I mean, my laptop struggles with a few gigabytes. How on earth do they process that volume?
Yeah, it's staggering. Our sources mention they rely heavily on specialized software. They actually call it a data butler.
Data butlers. Seriously?
Seriously. And multiple brokers. These systems basically triage and process and filter all that incoming data automatically.
So they're like cosmic librarians sorting the flood.
Kind of, yeah. They have to be incredibly fast and efficient to get the data shared quickly between data centers in Chile, the US, France. It's a monumental data challenge.
Okay, so Rubin's doing this huge long-term map. But the older giant, the Very Large Telescope, the VLT, also in the Atacama.
Yeah, it's still making big discoveries too, right? What's new there?
Oh, absolutely. The VLT is still a powerhouse. Just in 2025, the sources flagged a couple of big ones. First, they use it to image Wispit 2b.
Wispit 2b, what's that?
It's a newly confirmed protoplanet, a baby gas giant, basically. What's amazing is how young it is, maybe only 5 million years old. And it's huge, about 5 times Jupiter's mass.
Wow. And it's not just floating there, is it? The report said it's actively carving a channel.
Exactly. It's clearing a path in the dusty ring disk around its young star, like like you said earlier, a cosmic plow. You can actually see the gap it's made.
Incredible. What else from the VLT?
They also used it to pinpoint GRB 250702b.
Okay, letters and numbers. Break that down.
Yeah, right. GRB stands for gamma ray burst. Usually these are unimaginably powerful single-shot explosions like a star collapsing, but this one was different.
How so? It was a repeating long-period burst. It flashed 3 times in just a few hours. That completely baffled astronomers because GRBs are supposed to be, one-and-done events.
So something kept exploding.
Something did. And the VLT was crucial for watching the aftermath, trying to figure out what kind of object could possibly do that.
So Chile's telescopes aren't just looking way out. They're also kind of our first responders for stuff closer to home, like cosmic visitors.
That's a good way to put it. Take the interstellar object 3I-ATOLs.
Yes, the third one ever found, after Oumuamua and Borisov. Spotted in Chile, wasn't it?
Yep, by a NASA-funded scope there, July 1st, 2025. But what really got people talking was its path, its orbit.
I remember this detail. They had this retrograde orbit. going against the flow, and it was tilted only about 5 degrees relative to Earth's path around the sun.
Right. Which is statistically, well, pretty unlikely for just a random rock drifting through space.
And one Harvard physicist, based on its brightness and estimated size like 12 miles wide, he actually speculated.
Yeah, he did. He speculated it might have, quote, targeted the inner solar system as expected from alien technology.
Okay, that's a big leap.
It's a huge leap, definitely pushes the boundary between science and speculation. But it shows you the kind of fundamental questions these Chilean observations can raise.
It wasn't the only comet making news, though, was it? G3 ATLS.
Comet G3 ATLS. Yeah, that one was observed from the Paranol Observatory, also in Chile, back in January 2025. It was a real spectacle.
How so?
It developed multiple tails, like at least 6 distinct complex tails, and then it just seemed to fall apart as it got close to the sun. Disintegrated.
So dramatic entrances and exits. And it's not just comets and planets. The VLT helps study that weird 5-image Einstein cross thing, too.
Right. That was an amazing example of strong gravitational lensing. 5 images of the same distant object worked by something massive and invisible in between.
That turned out to be
A huge halo of dark matter just sitting there, revealed by the way it bent the light. Another win for mapping the unseen universe.
And then, just to round out the sky watching, the sources mentioned a cluster of UFO sightings. October 2025.
Yeah, specifically mentioning Chile and Mexico, people filmed 2 apparently nearly identical, unidentified objects that seemed to shift color and shape while flying.
So whether it's dark matter, alien probes, or something else entirely, the skies over Chile are definitely keeping astronomers busy.
Very, very busy.
Okay, let's pivot now from looking up at cosmic mysteries to looking down at some very earthly, very immediate pressures: geopolitics, social change.
Right, because that same high, dry, clear location that's perfect for telescopes, it also makes Chile incredibly strategic from a defense and global power perspective.
Absolutely. You see that in the sources. Like in August 2025, USOCOM SEALs did a very public over-the-beach insertion exercise near Valparaiso.
Not exactly subtle.
No. And it underlines that strategic value, which also came up when Santiago hosted the South American Defense Conference, SouthDec, in 2024.
What was the focus there?
U.S. military leaders were really pushing the need for allies in the region to harness AI, develop the space domain, basically getting ready for future global challenges.
And this kind of U.S. focus or pressure on Chile isn't new, is it?
Not at all. The sources mention the historical context, the CIA actively trying to stop Salvador Allende becoming president back in 1970.
A very different era, but the strategic importance remains.
But what seems new, or maybe just intensified, is the economic tension, particularly between the U.S. and China, playing out in Latin America, almost like a New Monroe Doctrine push.
That's exactly how some observers framed it, especially after U.S. Secretary of State Pompeo's visit in January 2025.
Right, he met with Chile's then-president Piñera and basically warned him about China. China is Chile's #1 trading partner, remember?
What was the warning?
Pompeo said China lays traps and ignores rules. Pretty strong language.
How did that go down in Chile?
Not, according to one former Chilean foreign minister, he called the remarks unacceptable and arrogant. Yeah, and he openly asked if the U.S. still saw Chile as part of its old backyard. So you see Chile trying to navigate this tricky path between these two giants.
And that's complicated further by trade deals, right? Like the CPTPP.
Exactly. Chile is a founding member of that big Pacific Trade Pact, the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Right.
And guess who's trying to join?
Or I guess China.
China and Taiwan, both applying. So Chile's right in the middle of that diplomatic maneuvering too, threading a very, very fine needle.
Speaking of threading needles, maybe the most mind-bending part of this whole picture is Chile's move on, Neuro-Rights.
I know, it sounds like science fiction. I had to read that part of the source twice. They're trying to be the first country in the world to legally protect neuro-rights.
That's the goal. It's incredibly proactive, maybe even preemptive.
What does that actually mean, though, legislating neuro-rights?
It involves changing their constitution, adding protection to block any technology that tries to increase, diminish, or disturb someone's mental integrity without their consent.
Disturb mental integrity. What kind of tech are they worried about?
The lawmakers specifically mentioned concerns about future tech, especially advanced brain-computer interfaces, Stuff that could, and this is a quote, potentially write emotions into your brain.
Right emotions, wow.
Or dictate preferences, maybe undermine free will. They're basically trying to build legal firewalls against cognitive manipulation before the technology becomes widespread.
That's looking really far ahead.
Yeah.
Then there was that other weird law, something about protecting the employment rights of mutants and genetically modified humans.
Yeah, that phrasing is pretty sensational, isn't it?
Yeah.
Approved in August 2024.
Is that hyperbole, or what's the actual concern there?
The core issue is future-proofing against discrimination. Think CRISPR, gene editing becoming common.
Oh, okay.
The law aims to stop employers rejecting someone just because they've had genetic modifications or maybe have certain genetic predispositions identified, making sure changes in human biology don't immediately become grounds for job discrimination.
So again, Chile's looking way down the ethical road, trying to get ahead of potential problems.
Very much so. An extreme focus on future-proofing their society.
But while they're grappling with these, futuristic sci-fi scenarios, the country's also dealing with some very immediate, very real vulnerabilities. Crime, infrastructure.
Definitely. The sources connect Chile into global flows, not just legitimate ones, but criminal ones, too.
Like that Keanu Reeves Rolex story.
Right. His engraved watch, stolen in LA, pops up in Santiago during arrests for violent robberies there in December 2024. It highlights how stolen goods, crime networks, they cross borders, and Chile's a node in that system.
And it seems Chile's also a transit point on migration routes.
Yeah, the sources mention Venezuelan migrants, including some allegedly linked to that gang, Tren de Aragua, using Chile as a stopover before trying to head north, often towards the U.S.
So a key point for people flow, which unfortunately can include criminal elements.
And that's mirrored in the digital world, too. Cyber investigators, like those working with the National Child Protection Task Force, have traced leads for child exploitation material back to servers or users in Chile.
So it's a critical node, sometimes in very dark ways, for tracking international digital activity.
Exactly. All this global traffic, legitimate and illicit, puts immense pressure on the country's infrastructure and stability.
And we saw evidence of that fragility, didn't we? That massive blackout in February 2025 affected almost the entire country.
99% of the country, yeah. And that was just months after a big M6.2 earthquake also caused power outages in late 2023, these physical shocks.
They happen alongside economic stress, too. Remember that bit about the central bank suddenly hiking interest rates back in 2021?
A huge hike, yeah. Biggest in 2 decades. 75 basis points up to 1.5%. They were really worried about consumer demand overheating and inflation taking off.
So it's a place dealing with extremes, physical, economic, scientific, all at once.
A country absolutely vital for science, but constantly managing these internal resilience challenges.
And just to add one more layer, a kind of beautiful contrast to all the space tech and geopolitics. That marine expedition.
Oh yeah, the Nazca Ridge expedition, September 2024. Incredible findings.
20 new species described as alien-like. 900 miles off the coast, a spectral squat lobster, a rare blue octopus.
It just reminds you that the discoveries are as profound beneath the waves there as they are above the atmosphere. Chile really sits at a crossroads of exploration.
So, stepping back then, the picture of Chile that emerges is this incredible paradox, isn't it?
It really is.
It's home to the tools defining the edges of our universe, the VLT, the Rubin Observatory. And at the same time, it's a battleground for defining what it means to be human right here on Earth.
For things like Neuro-Rights, yeah. And navigating global power struggles, managing crime flows. It's an extraordinary concentration of potential and pressure in one place.
What really stands out to me is just the speed, the velocity at which all these things, cutting-edge science, advanced technology, global politics, ethical dilemmas, seem to be converging right there.
It feels like a testing ground, doesn't it? A laboratory for the future of global society, whether you're talking AI ethics or great power competition.
Which leads to maybe a final provocative thought for you, the listener.
Go on.
If a country like Chile is already starting to legislate to protect its citizens' minds from technology that could potentially modify their thoughts and emotions, these neuro-rights, what does that actually suggest about how close that kind of advanced brain-computer interface technology really is? Is it closer than we think?
And maybe the follow-up question is, will other countries be forced to follow Chile's lead? Will they have to create their own protections against a kind of cognitive takeover they haven't even properly conceived of yet?
Something to think about. Chile, definitely more than meets the eye.